Today I want to talk a little bit about my plans and tell you where I got those from. So about a year ago I started thinking about timber framing, and I did a bunch of research online, and then last summer I went to the library and I checked out all the books I could find on timber framing. I actually went to a couple of libraries because the first one I went to was kind of sparse. But the three books that I ended up reading were a book by Ted Benson called The Timber Frame Home, and then Timber Framing for the Rest of Us, and that one's by Rob Roy, and then Learn to Timber Frame by Will Beemer. And I really liked Ted Benson's book. He has a timber frame shop up in, where is it? New Hampshire, right on the New Hampshire-Vermont border. And I really liked his book, but it was more on home construction and design and how to build a timber frame home. And I was just looking for more of the timber frame itself. I ended up relying more heavily on Will Beemer's book, Learn to Timber Frame. And that one's a really good book. It's got the full set of plans that I'm using in it, and it also goes step by step through how to build the timber frame. Here, I'll show you a little bit of the book. So I read it first from the library, and then I went out and bought my own copy because I'm using it every day now and building the timber frame. So here's the cover of it, and I'm building the cabin in here that it comes with the plans for. 12 by 16 foot cabin. So the first section of it just does an introduction to timber framing, talks about just different aspects. As you can see there, moisture contents, species, a bunch of different stuff about timber framing. Just does a really good introduction. And then talks about the layout system, kind of gives you an idea of the system that they use for this. And then later in the book, it's got let's see. Oh, it also has a good section on tools. Okay, here we go. Here's the section that I'm using the most. It's the tiny timber frame plans. So it's got the plans for the whole timber frame. And then my favorite part is it has a step-by-step process for each of the different timbers that you have to cut, each of the different joint types. So you can see it goes through each of the steps of laying out and cutting each of the different pieces. Like here it talks about the joists. It's a really good book, and I do suggest it for someone who just wants to build their first timber frame. I chose this over just getting a set of plans just because it's going to reduce the number of mistakes that I make on my first timber frame. And from there, I'll have more experience going into my second project. So that's the plans that I went with. You can check out the book if you want. I bought it on Amazon, and it's reasonably priced. Thanks for watching.